don't think it really matters if it's big or small. The foundation is the same. It's why do you first want to get into sponsorship? If you can't answer the reasons why, then you probably shouldn't get into it. And assuming you know, you're able to confidently explain that to not just yourself as the sponsorship director or your marketing director, but to the CEO. The reasons why we want to do this is because it's going to help us achieve X, Y, or Z. It's at that point as everyone goes, okay, we can see that. Then it's about identifying the what. And that's the tricky bit, because oftentimes people just automatically go football. It's really easy, it's on TV all the time, the media is easy, blah, blah, blah. But it might not actually have the same values as you as a brand, so you really need to determine it. And this, I would say, most brands need to do with an agency, a really smart, either an integrated sponsorship agency or research, and say, what are the criteria that are important to us that we need to match up with whatever that property is? So you might say that, for example, on-site hospitality is much more important to you than awareness of your brand on the pitch. Or it might be, we want to have the opportunity to engage with community services. So you have to scale your criteria and then you weight them. And then when you start looking at the properties themselves, you're going to be able to easily identify, well, this brand or this property, is actually really low scoring in the thing that's very important for us. It's probably not going to be right, and then so on and so forth. I think the spotlight's certainly on it much more so now than it was a few years ago. I mean, it's always been fluttering around there, and a lot of the leagues, whether they're American or abroad, they have their foundations, they have their causes and things like that. What I think it's now doing is really putting much more pressure on brands, on rights holders, on fans to do something. Not just sit back, pay your money for your ticket, get your hot dog, and then walk out at the end of the day. And I think that's a good thing, because for years you'd have this mantra, sport can do good around the world. Sport is a blah, 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 blah. Well, it is, but not if it's done in isolation, and not if it's done in a fragmented way. And I think Common Goal, while I like that, is because it's bringing together people who genuinely believe that sport can be a tool for good, and they're investing their own money, which is unheard of, and they're bringing more people into that community, if you will, and the money is going to be happening day in and day out. It's not a one-off. It's just a community that can grow, and I think that's brilliant. Not every brand out there automatically equates to great sponsorship opportunity, but that's where good creative thinking comes into play, as long as you start with good insights. So I can't imagine that one day, they were sitting around a table and going, what we need a suit made out of the grass. That didn't come, nobody thought of that, but it was through really pulling out what is important about this field, this stadium, this pitch, what is important about this sponsor, and then you start mapping those things together, and then it becomes really, duh, of course that's what we need to do. But to get to that takes a long time, and oftentimes sponsorships aren't based on great insight. It's opportunistic, and maybe it's a great piece of creative, but creative on its own that can't link back to good insight without KPIs is kind of meaningless, because you don't know if you've done a good job or not. Well, first off, I just want to say that I've only ever heard good things about SPORTO. So you guys, even though you're in a smaller market and unknown probably, so lots of Americans, I shouldn't say this out loud, don't put that on camera, and I live in Europe, so I'm okay, I can get away with this. I think it's lovely. I think it's very down to earth, which is nice. So far my experience has been good. I would have preferred to have a more rowdy audience, but that's okay, because everybody's different, and I'm new here, so.
We're trying to educate them, so maybe next time you come, we'll have more.
lots of questions.
Wows and questions and everything.
That's fine. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully they did too.